All right. Welcome back. We are going to talk about the ugly, bad part of the bar business that is what we call a black hole. And I
Hmm.
think that there's so many levels to that black hole, from employees to patrons and even ones that we can fall in to ourselves.
Hmm.
I One of my hardest parts was I always liked to hire bartenders that were green and I could teach them. But there were certain people that I would interview, and just because of my faith and just kind of the conviction it would give me, I felt bad for hiring them
Hmm.
because I knew that this probably wasn't the best line of business for them, but I'm not going to deny them a job, or because of a feeling that I have, that I could be completely wrong on. Their personal life is none of my business. But there were people that I would interview, and I would come home and I would just talk to her and say, "Hey, I feel really bad about this. Like I just feel like she's meant for so much more." And y'all know how it is, especially with the females. You come in, all the guys really like your attitude, they like your personality, you're pretty, this, that, and the other. So you get off at 7. Let's go across the street and have a drink.
Yeah.
And it could be someone that really never drank at all. Maybe only drank on occasion, one or two times a month, and that's where the black hole starts. It's
Hmm.
the getting out and being social, but we can all agree that not everybody has the best intentions when they're trying to get you out from behind the bar and get you on a
Amen.
personal level outside of work. And I think that one of the things that I struggled with personally was the drinking part of the bar, especially as a bartender and even stepping in as a bar owner, because oh man, you got a bar, you want everybody to like you, you want everybody to come in, you want to have a big good
Hmm.
time. And I think that that leads to a destruction of your personal and a destruction of your business. And I personally live that. And luckily now that I don't drink, and none of us really do,
No.
we've kind of moved past that. But I think for a young new bar owner, that is something that they probably wouldn't even expect. And then we also have the patron side of it. You have the employees that we watch that we've seen literally destroy their lives because we hire them. They're great people. They're out of college. They're not big drinkers. They're not partiers. They're moms. They're dads. And then all of a sudden, they're getting their second DWI. They're needing rehab. And it's all because this is where it hits home for me. It's like, man, I hired this person,
Hmm.
but I can't control them outside of the bar. I can't control what they do. I can only try to live my life to be a good influence to other people, but not everybody's paying attention to me.
Hmm.
So that was something that's always been really hard for me. Bailey has referenced, to the patron part, um, it being the equivalent of giving them a bullet, some of them. So I'll let you speak on that
Hmm.
and reiterate that point and
Yeah.
why you say that.
So I will say I love transitioning from nighttime bartending to the 7 a.m. shift, but um, although the 7 a.m. shift is, yes, a positive thing because we are here to support the third shifters, and that is what we're really looking for is a professional side. But along with that, you are gonna get the people who are professional drinkers. And those people will come in and start off with double double jack on the rocks, 7 a.m. Let's get it started. And that's a normal day. Well, along with that, those people are very consistent. So you develop a relationship with these people and you get to know why they're drinking or if there's even a reason at all, but you kind of fall in love with these people because they're consistent. They come see you every single day. And then you start seeing their depression and you really start understanding how to read them and really know, even though they're not telling you why they're drinking, you know. And you keep feeding them because they just need somebody to talk to. You need to pay your bills and you need to You're not going to tell them no because you're their escape.
And they're not doing anything
And they're
wrong.
not doing anything wrong, but utilizing you for a friend, for somebody to be there for them. And that's what you are there for. You're there to comfort them, not only for to be their friend, but the alcohol is comforting to them too because it can escape their mind. And then, like Chris said, some of them don't even make it to rehab. And I'm going to let you understand that part. They don't even get the chance to realize how bad they're in. And then that reflects us because this person's gone. And it's all a reflection of, I take it personally because of what I did, because I was the one who served them and I didn't say no. It's really hard. It's just a really
Well,
hard thing.
I'll say if it gives you any relief, chances are the drink that you gave them was not their first drink of the day.
Right.
And I can promise you, if it wasn't you giving it to them, someone else would.
Exactly.
At least you were able to be there as a caring person and as a friend to these people. But it is the reality of what we deal with. I mean, we have ER doctors that live in Montgomery Plaza, has beautiful family, drove Porsches, this, that, and the other, and now they're borrowing $20 from a bartender to have a drink because it goes down that quick.
Right.
So, Juwan, I know you've experienced that as well, a lot of loss, and we've actually experienced a lot of loss recently with our regulars, and not all solely to drinking, but it was a big part of their lives, and it was a big pill for all of us to swallow for each and every one of these souls that we lost to this business. And I think one thing that is becoming very apparent for all of us and is that it's becoming very taxing on all
Yeah.
of us,
Yeah.
mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I think that that's why we are, you know, considering some sort of exit plan at some point, or just going into consulting instead of being in this day to day nightmare at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Man, I mean, over the years, we, I guess in a way, it's just like, man, in the end, for me, I've always thought, like, am I that person's, like, last resort? You know, like, am I the reason why they stayed? I mean, let's just be honest, they stayed alive. Am I the reason that they didn't go hurt themselves and hurt somebody else? So that weighs a lot on you because, like, you just don't know what, like, in a way, like, kind of feeding off Bailey is you feel responsible. But like, how do you feel responsible when it's one, something that's probably already been on their mind?
yeah.
Two, I guess it's just kind of hard to explain. Like, man, watching this person go from just being so happy and just gradually just fading away, whether it
Yeah.
be from drinking or whether it be from hurting themselves or hurting somebody else, like what since Mad Hatter, there's some people from around here. We seen what 6, 7,
Oh,
and it's
minimum.
but minimum, and that's people we're close with. That's kind of why I kind of like I guess on a personal level, like the dark side of things. Yeah, I mean, I did the partying, I did all of that, and it's just I was just constantly started to see it, and I was like, man, I don't want that to be me. One, I have responsibilities as a dad, also responsible for like family members as well too. So it's just, am I feeding into that, or am I better than that to kind of help them get out of it?
Yeah.
And once you kind of remove yourself from all of that, you see like, dang, was I on my way that way? And it's, I don't know, man, it's kind of hard to explain a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, she spoke so well on it. Just it's kind of hard to go behind it because like,
Do y'all ever realize how special y'all two are? How far into that hole y'all were, and now you're not? Not everybody makes it out, and that's as bartenders and bar owners. Y'all weren't, I mean, y'all, just because y'all had a different profession and than a doctor or something like that, y'all may not necessarily have been trying to drink sorrows and stuff away, because I think what we see a lot of times are these extremely wealthy people, or perceived to be wealthy people, and when they financially crash, usually due to alcohol, they'll lose their jobs, they'll start losing connections, they'll start losing any sort of credibility. And at that point, they start hitting such a low. And, when they're driving around Beamers and living in mansions and having their kids go to these private schools and stuff, when all of that falls down and crumbles down around them, it's really hard to dig themselves out. And a lot of them don't, as we see.
Yeah.
And so I want you guys to understand, even, and just like myself, I mean, luckily for me, and I think because I think that, obviously I tell you this, that I feel like God's had his hand in y'all's life. There's a bit of a conviction that the Holy Spirit will give us that tells us we know better. Even though we may choose to continue to do it, we know better. And fortunately for you guys, you finally listened to that and understood that you were worth so much more than what you were giving. And so essentially y'all are living testimonies to people that have been down that dark, deep hole of alcoholism, possibly even drugs, not implying that y'all were in that hole, but the alcoholism that people don't think that they can drag themselves out of. But I think it just becomes, at a point, the belief in yourself that you know that you can do it. And obviously I'm going to say faith and prayer. But you guys should be very, very proud of yourselves. You guys are living testimonies. KP and I, for the very longest time, were, not only was I a bartender, we were on the other sides of the bar as well, just like you guys were. But that whole other side of the bar, being the bar patron, becoming friends with the bartender. I'm so glad we're friends. Becoming good friends with the bartender. Thank God that we never had to watch that decline. But we have seen one another's dark days, a lot of them between you and I. And if, thank God that we have been able to stick that out and be there for one another in a lot of those ways. So, how do you feel about that, from the growth that you've had from one side of the bar to being a bar owner, and now understanding what you are doing to yourself as a young person?
Yeah. I feel like I want to back up just a little bit because this is,
Please, it's
I
a
wanted
big
to talk
deal.
about this. So I came from cook children. So I was used to seeing a lot of deaths, unfortunately, and hard ones because it's kids,
Yeah.
But I don't want to, there were obviously great things too. We had miracles every single day. But it was still like coming on with y'all and the group text, and that first, I feel like it was the first 6 months that we were open, the amount of group text that was somebody had passed away that y'all knew, that y'all had served, it was unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think I even said something at one point. I was like, y'all, like this is really depressing. And
Now, I want to note a good handful of those were actual bartenders.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
More bar owners.
And
and
owners.
I didn't know a lot of them because I hadn't been in this world. And to be quite frank, I mean, if I was going out to bars, I went to one, maybe two of them. So, and unfortunately, I mean, like the one that I always went to, which is where we met, we've lost so many people there, so many regulars, and it's hard to watch. And you can say a lot of them, alcohol played some sort of role, probably. But yeah, I think for me in my 20s, I don't think it's uncommon to go out a lot and all that. I think that I probably went out more than I should, for sure. You kind of come into your own and you start getting, I was starting to make good paychecks and, was going out and had lots of great friends, acquaintances, bar friends, the ones that you'll find that when you're not going out drinking, they're not really your friends anymore. But a lot of people that I enjoyed hanging out with and stuff. And I'm still that same way. I don't drink very often at all, but when I do drink, it is literally just the social side of it that I really like. And I hate getting to the point where I'm out of control. So the minute that I have like if I have a buzz, if I get to that point, I'm done. Like I can't even stand that because I just feel so, it's just not what I want,
Yeah.
and I can't really say if, I don't know when that changed in
Yeah.
me. I don't know if I got more mature. I don't know if I saw so many people take it to a level that was something I never wanted to be. I don't really know what it
Yeah.
was, but I've slowly made that transition over time. I think it's probably a little bit of both. I feel like you've encouraged us to, getting out of that world because of how much damage it can cause to
Yeah.
you, your mental, physical, everything. I also had quite a few health issues, in the last, they're a lot better now, but 5 or 6 years ago that I really had to quit
Yeah.
drinking as much. So, but yeah, I mean, my life now is so much better without going out and partying every single day. And I feel so much better the next day.
Yeah.
And to speak on that social aspect of it, if you want to go to the bar, and I mean you don't have to get plastered every time you go. If you don't have a bartender who is okay, or not okay, but say you don't want to drink, you need to have a bartender who is, that's awesome, man. I am so excited for that. I'm gonna make you some mocktails, or we have some NA beers. Like, let's see how long you can do this. How you need to have an encouraging bartender. Like, if you have a bartender that's sitting there shoving alcohol in your throat, you don't need to be there. That is not where you need to be, because that's just not the person that you
They're
need in
there
your
for the money.
life.
100%.
I mean,
100%.
no, this is a fun thing. This is a social thing.
Yeah.
This is not a let's put you in the hospital kind of thing. That is not the type of bartender that you want. And that's the kind of bartenders that we have at all of our bars. We have the bartenders that, we're going to encourage you to do better and be better. And we're going to provide those things for you.
Yeah.
So,
Instead of do you want another shot, it was let's wait
Yeah.
a little bit.
yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've texted them and been like, I know that so and so is going to buy me a shot, so just make it apple juice or whatever, and
Yes.
and then I'm always like, smell it a little first, make sure I got the right one.
Are they lying to me?
Because again, that's still the social aspect of it. I don't
is.
really care what I'm drinking. It doesn't have to be alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once I realized that, it wasn't the alcohol part of it that I really enjoyed. It was just the social and being around
Yeah.
people and talking and all of that was what I enjoyed. I realized, okay,
Yeah.
I can drink my water and be totally fine, or my Coke Zero, which is my go-to. But yeah,
And I mean, I understand, the social aspect of it. Before I knew everybody, before I was social and knew how to talk to people, alcohol was my little thing to buffer. Yeah, I would be social after a few drinks, but again, a few drinks is fine. You don't need to carry it to the next level like I did, and I realize that now. And
You want to? Go ahead.
it's nice
Sorry.
when you can know that
No.
that cutoff point of yourself.
Absolutely.
Because I think we
Absolutely.
all
have been
at
there,
some
done
point in
that.
our life have just kept going until we were forced to be cut off either at the bar or you just flat out can't drink anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we've all been there. And now I feel like we all have that maturity to say, I want a couple glasses of wine, or I'm going to a winery. Let's do all these tastings.
Yep.
And I don't have to get plastered.
And the next day, it's terrible.
What's going on?
Do they hurt you?
The hangovers,
I am
oof.
not a fan.
They're like 3-day hangovers.
Juwan's been a
The
big.
last time I had a hangover now.
I was gonna say Juwan's been really. I even hear people tell him, man, Juwan, he'll.
I just realized.
Oh man, all that money coming out. Dropping that coin. They're like, bartending's not so bad.
Not being the case at all.
I think I saw $1 or $2.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think Juwan has been a good example of that. And I hear people all the time, they'll tell me, man, he'll show up and then he'll be gone. He may have one, then he'll be gone. And I think that feeds into kind of the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
And just, keeping some of those relationships, because you will find out that you have a lot of acquaintances and not friends, a lot of snakes in the grass when you do decide, because misery enjoys company. And then a lot of times people, when you step out from that and you start bettering yourself, it's literally, you would think that most of your friends would be happy for you and encourage that. But then you have the ones that you tell them you're 23 days sober and they go buy you a beer. I'll just have this
not your
shot, have this shot. So how has it been for you pulling yourself out of that transition of understanding that you're in a self growth part of your life, and you've kind of shed that a little bit?
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of easy to me. I mean, that sounds very cocky, but it is. It's just like you do know. It's like, all right, cool. If I don't hang out with them, they really aren't my friend. Like if I'm not reaching out to them with a party or anything, they're not reaching out to me. So it's like, all right, I see. Because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen it. Like I will. You've definitely seen it. I've stepped out and bought the entire tab. It was like, dang, what was I thinking? You know, and just
Yeah.
originally, like I said, for me it was supposed to be social, but then it ends up turning into partying, and then you're up at 2, 3, and like, what's going on? That hangover the next day hurts the worst. So
Yeah.
I mean, now it's come a lot easier. But like now, I guess the moment I feel somewhat buzzed, like, all right, I'm out, and then
Yeah.
you won't see me. I'll leave. You'll just just. But it's still kind of cool, like to just like support the people around you no matter
Yeah.
what, because there are those people who are just not getting to the industry, or who have been in it for a little bit longer
Yeah.
than we have, that want to get out and be on the ownership side. So you go and say what's up, have fun with them, and you leave. But most part now, if I ever say like, "Hey, I'm not drinking," those people like, "All right, cool. Here's an NA beer," or
Yeah.
my go to is Topo Chico, or just rainwater, really. So, but I mean, I do encourage people as well too to take those breaks. You know, at the beginning of the year, every year, January, half of February, depending on how the Cowboys do.
Sometimes I have to
It's
adjust
like,
it.
yeah, so I get tested a lot during January, which I probably should change months, but I like it doing it at the beginning of the year because after the holidays, you kind of party a little bit too much when it comes to the
Yeah.
All the holiday
social
parties.
occasions, yeah, like all the
Yeah,
family stuff like that. But
get that.
I do encourage people to take those breaks. You know, throughout the year, I'll take 2 weeks off, a week off.
Yeah.
Or it does help, like with the mental side of things. It does help with coaching somebody who asks questions about certain things like that. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, like I say, in a way, it's been a whole lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. I also have Down Smith. My mom, she's like a big. She helps a lot with like telling me like, hey, like, do the right thing. You know, in the
Yeah.
end, if you don't, one, you got two girls looking after you, or you also don't understand like the
Yeah.
role model position that you're in now, that people look up
Absolutely.
to you. You know, so
And I'm glad that you said that, because I hope that, I continue to tell y'all this. I hope y'all understand how much people look up to y'all. You know what I mean? Think about when you were a kid and you went to a job and your boss was probably only 28, but you felt like he was 43, and you just gave him all
Yep.
the respect in the world because he was
Yeah.
just, you were 17 or 18, and he or she was only 8 or 9 years older, but you viewed them as such a high person. And so you guys got to understand that, yes, all eyes are on y'all. And I think that that's, again, why we're a good team, because we respect one another to hold ourselves to a standard to where we understand what I do and what I say represents each and every one of y'all. What I do, what I say, what I wear, how I act in public represents each and every one of y'all. And so I think that just kind of speaks on to how important it is to continue to grow out of that hole if you're in. For me, it was a lot of self destruction of my faith, of my friends, of my character. You know, that was a big part for me. And speaking back on, losing people, I've vocalized to y'all. There was a night that I did try. I was very much trying to take my life, and luckily I had a friend that stop that. I've never been a person to ever want to do that, nor do I condone it. I won't even go to people's funerals that do it, because I think that it's just a cowardice way out. And I understand that, you know, people have bad days, but we've all had a bad day, and we've all lived through our worst day. And I understand that sometimes that those bad days can be weeks and months, and in a very long period of time. And me, it was always whenever, well, not always, but when, yes, thoughts like that were when I was drinking. They weren't sober thoughts.
Right.
When I would cut myself, those were drunk. I was never sober doing this stuff. You know what I mean? It was the depression and the darkness that it gave me when I drank. And don't get me wrong, I had a blast. I loved having fun with my friends and partying. But it's when you go home alone or you take a loss or you take something like that and you feed yourself with alcohol because you think it's going to, suppress that. But in fact, you're just really damaging every single part of your body, your soul, and your spirit while you're doing that. And so that was one of the biggest things that I dealt with was the self-destruction part when nobody was looking.
Yeah.
Or like the day after, like
Oh.
beating yourself up just because you drank more than you wanted to, or you did something stupid,
Or you
or
don't remember.
you don't know what you did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
And I don't want man, I don't want us to come across as saying like it's a bad idea to go out drinking or
No,
things
no,
like
no, no.
that. And that's not what it is, but it's just if you found yourself to a point of where you're relying on alcohol, especially like some people rely on it because it helps with their anxiety and their depression. But we all know it actually in the end makes it worse,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so it's like just really knowing your body and knowing your mind and knowing, where you are and all that to try and make sure it's not
Yeah,
a
and yeah, we're
crutch.
definitely not, I don't want it to come across that, oh my God, that drinking's the worst thing in the world, because obviously it can be done very mature.
Right.
I just think because we have all been on both sides of the bar and now we are where we are, in a position of owning these bars and being responsible for people, young people just like we were on the other side of the bar, and realizing how damaging it is to people's lives, because this is a very real part of the bar business. Like we mentioned earlier, we have lost handfuls of friends and just since 2020,
So many.
that literally have drank themselves to death. Some have drank to the point where they decided to take their own lives, but we've literally had them to where they drank so much they didn't wake up the next day. And that is just the harsh reality of it. And those are bartenders, bar owners, and bar patrons all in one,
Yeah.
So I think it is important that we talk about the really dark part of the bar business that comes with it if you are seriously thinking about wanting to open a bar. These are very real things. And if you are in the midst of dealing with alcohol, a bar is probably the absolute worst line of business that you can go in,
I feel like some people is like, I want to be a bar owner because I can drink for free or I can
Yeah.
play pool for free. That is a bad idea.
Yeah.
If that's the reason why you're getting into it, you're probably the last person that needs to be doing
Yeah.
it.
And you would be the one with the biggest tab in the bar every single time you were there.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. You'd be the biggest tab in the bar every single time. And I
Yeah.
think that's again, but to be able to step back and realize that it's such personal growth. And I think that again is what we're really trying to drive home is how much goes into owning a bar and how mature you actually have to be to own and run a successful bar.
Yeah.
Anybody that gets a good grip of money can open a bar, but to run a long-term, decade plus successful bars like we have,
Consistent.
there has to be some personal growth, some awareness, and some responsibility as to what we do and how we handle ourselves as owners. So the last thing I want is somebody to watch any of our videos and think, "Oh my God, I can scrape together 60,000. My dad's rich. I'm going to go open a bar." Let's just all say 60,000 is not going to open you a bar. But you know what I mean by that. I have access to money, but without knowing the ins and outs of the business, you can fall down that hole very, very quickly, and you may or may not make it out alive.
Well, you've been on both sides of it. So like when I came into this, I wasn't drinking even that much then either.
Yeah,
But you've had Mad Hatter for 11 years. When you started Mad Hatter, you were drinking.
absolutely.
So what is the biggest difference for you from the beginning of your career as a bar ownership to now?
The biggest difference for me was when I finally realized that I had a bigger calling, honestly. But on the other hand, I can't lead you guys hypocritically. I can't expect things from you guys that I don't do and expect from myself. And y'all know me, the way I try to lead is in a spiritual, faith driven manner, driven by conviction. And yes, I do strongly suggest to y'all sometimes, you know, oh, I wish you wouldn't do that, or oh, I wish you wouldn't do that. I'm never going to tell you your friendship or our business determines what you guys do, or if you have a drink or anything. I know that you guys have responsibly, grown into that, and slowly but surely is all but gone out of your lives for the most part, anyway. But for me, I was tired of the self destruction, and I was blessed with I do believe that God puts people in your lives for periods of time for certain reasons. And I do believe that at the point that I was, and it was a very, very dark point, the only time that I ever thought about or attempted to take my life was, again, a night that I had drank way more than I should have. The bar wasn't where it needed to be. My personal relationships weren't where they needed to be. My character was not, I felt worthless. And that's where people get, obviously, when they decide to do something like that. And so, luckily, I remember the next day I laid on the couch and I just prayed and prayed and prayed. I probably laid on the couch for 3 days straight. Did not leave my apartment. And all I could pray is just, God, put one foot in front of the other and let's make this better. Anything that I can do that day to better my situation, I'm going to do it. Drinking was not an option for that. I went into a relationship with someone that was not able to drink due to personal issues. So there was no pressure. You kind of do, you know, a drinking date is a very easy, hey, let's go grab a drink.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's too more common than, hey, let's go grab a coffee these days, or let's go grab sushi. It's let's go grab a drink because, like you said, it's a buffer. It loosens people up. It gives you a little bit more confidence and a little bit more flow in meeting people and talking to people. But ultimately, are they meeting the real you at that point? Would be my question. That's a whole nother thing. But yes, I went. I was in a relationship for about a year to where there was really no drinking involved. She didn't care if I drank, but it was one of those.
If you're not going to do it, I'm not going to do it
Yeah,
kind of
it's kind
thing.
of like
Yeah.
that's no big deal. Like if you're not, then I'm having fun with
Right.
you. I don't need it. And then after that relationship ended, I knew I did not want alcohol a part of my relationships at all anymore. And so I was very clear with that with my previous relationship that was about a decade long. In that decade, I think that I maybe had too much to drink 3 times since 2019. When did Jamie and
2020.
2020 November? So since 2020, I literally, and when I say drank too much, I mean I couldn't say that I was completely sober. But those were the one time a year that I decided I could have 3 glasses of wine without drinking anything else the whole year. So that was a really easy transition for me, and I obviously care about being in shape, and that just they didn't coincide. And I grew up in a turmoiled house that did have drinking and drugs in it, and that's what I saw. But once I realized that you could have a relationship without the alcohol, that was a game changer for me. So going into that decade relationship, it was, hey, you can do it, but we're just going to have to be acquaintances, friends, because I'm just not going to let that be a part of my relationship. And I will say that relationship taught me so much. And the 3 fights in 8 years that we had all involved alcohol.
Yep.
They were all the times that I had maybe 3.5 glasses of wine. They all involved that, even when we went to dinner.
Yeah.
And I haven't drank since. And that was, actually, no, not that night. Not that night. It was it was Maddie and I. We all went to Archball and had a couple glasses of wine, and it did not end well. And so next day, you wake up with regret, with shame, sorrow, begging for forgiveness or acceptance, one of the two. Because again, like you said, you just really, you're not the same person when you drink. So for me, it was like Jawan said, it actually, for me, it wasn't a hard transition, thank God. It wasn't something that I struggled with. And I will segue into you, Bailey,
Yeah.
because that was something that you struggled
I
with.
did.
And it
Absolutely.
was, I remember one time you had mentioned to me, this has been a long time ago, you had mentioned to me, I don't know, I just want to go have a drink, so I'll just go drink because I just feel like I have to. And
It
that
was-
was still your self-destruction.
Yeah, absolutely. I made it a part of my routine in a sense. If I wasn't getting tipsy for the one day because I had something to drink about, like I was upset with myself. I was upset with myself, or I was stressed that day, or I didn't meet a deadline that I needed to do, or it was self-reflection in a sense of, oh, my bad. So like it was a way to cover up what I wasn't doing correctly in my life. It was like, oh, okay, so I didn't do that, so let's just drink about it and forget it and for pretend like it didn't happen. Let's black out. That's terrible. No, you need to and then you don't realize just how easy it is to not go have that drink every single day. I mean, now it's been a long time now, but of course I go it was Chris's birthday. So, and had a couple cocktails, but I had 3 and I was like, we're good. Like I have plumbers to talk to. I mean, our toilet was done
business
for.
to run.
Yeah, we had things to do. I had people still contacting me. So we can't get off willy-nilly all crazy. And I don't want to either. Because even with just those 3 drinks, guys, I still felt terrible the next day.
Our
and I still
tolerance
had
is bad
regrets.
now. We have no tolerance
I was
anymore.
like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
what if, I don't know. But I still beat myself up about it. And I mean, again, we're not sitting here saying that you can't drink or anything like that, but drinking had control of me. I didn't have control of it. And that was a huge thing. I mean, as I made that transition, I didn't realize how much control alcohol really truly had over me.
And personal drinking and bar ownership,
Don't match.
they don't.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And I think that's a big misconception.
Yeah.
I think that most people think that when you own bars, like you said, you get to drink for free and but how embarrassing it is for you to be the drunkest person in your own bar. I've been there.
Well, and that was
And
going
it's
to be
embarrassing.
that was going to be a question I had. Like, when you stopped drinking, do you think that's about when your business turned around?
100%.
So, because we're getting into bar ownership and what you should and maybe
100%.
shouldn't
That's
do, or
a
what's
great
but
point
is
and
that when it got
question.
better?
100%. It's when I got better. It's when it got better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wasn't the drunkest person in the bar. I didn't have the highest tab in the bar. I stayed out of the bar.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you could even recognize where there were issues outside of you.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
the inventory starts making more sense and stuff like that.
I mean, I specifically remember one night, probably 2:15, maybe even 2:30. I come unlocking the back. He's already laughing because he knows. I come unlocking the back. I probably got my boys. I might have had a girl. I don't know who was with me. We were on one. Guess who owns a bar?
Oh, shoot.
Guess who? Party started.
Yeah.
Party can keep going. Let's go. I got the keys. I got the keys on me. I went and unlocked the back of the bar. Come in.
God.
Juwan, get out. Get out. I'm like, what? Leave. I'm not, leave.
Good for you.
And I was just like, I didn't fight him. I left. I wasn't like,
So
I'm like,
proud
what?
of you.
Yeah, I'm like, he was obviously probably ready to go home.
Oh,
That's probably one of your proudest moments now.
Oh, absolutely.
You're probably so proud of him.
Oh, I've told that story so many times because
my
that was,
I've never heard that one.
yeah,
That's a
oh
good
yeah,
one.
he kicked me out.
that's great.
Wouldn't serve me, and
I think it was like it was a long night too. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was one of those. I was one tired, two probably annoyed.
Yeah.
Something probably went down. You had
And I
to.
remember
yeah.
when we opened the bar,
Yeah.
we always thought we were going to be like the after hour because it used to be cool to go sit at the neighboring bar till
Oh,
7 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
drink, party, have a little after hours drinks, have a good time, play pool. You have a couple handfuls of it sometimes.
Yeah, just like it became. It was like really for me. It was just like, man, that isn't our thing. Our thing is to go somewhere else. It's like we did it, but sometimes like it's like, man, we didn't want y'all in here.
Yeah,
I know. I don't
think
want
we
you in
did
my
it-
bar, but I'll
It
go to yours.
sounds so bad. It's like, but like,
We did it 1 or 2 times. They're like,
it's like, nah, you're good. Let's
go back across the
street.
Man, and then I
this is
heard-
their thing. Let's just do it their way. Let's just don't change it up.
And then I heard, an after hours party at a bar close to us, a girl's teeth got knocked out
oh god.
Oh,
during the
my.
after hours with a bar stool. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
well, maybe, no, that's not for us.
Well, and a
That's
lot
not
of
for
people
us.
again don't understand that as a bar ownership, why the cat's away, the mice will play.
Yep.
And you're not watching cameras at 3 o'clock in the morning,
No,
4 o'clock in
because
the morning.
Closed.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's one of those things, unless you want to be one of those type owners, but I would not suggest it. It would drive you crazy. But yeah, I mean, unless you're doing it, you have no idea. And all that inventory gone.
Yeah.
So you're talking about hundreds of dollars every night in profit. Maybe not, maybe it didn't cost you. Maybe it only cost you 40, $50 at cost. But at that point, 40 or $50 is the equivalent of $300-$400.
Right.
And at
Right.
that point in time, it depends on your employee and how well your employee is, because that employee can be honest, or that employee can take $100 from those people and
yeah.
it goes right in their pocket.
For sure.
They never, because you don't want to ring anything in at 3 a.m. because you don't want that reflection. And then you're going to tell yourself, oh, I'll ring in these 17 shots tomorrow during my shift and that's what I'll pay for. But then that $100 bill gets real comfy in your wallet.
Yeah.
And guess what doesn't
Yeah.
get rung in? Those 17 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, just a black hole within itself. That's a whole other black hole
We'll start like
combo.
writing it down, leaving a 20.
Yeah.
I don't even know how much. Like, all right, I think that's enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what you-
Well, and then
back
you have
when
to worry
everything
about
was
your
$3.
license too.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
there's still a whole lot more to it.
So I guess we can wrap this episode up. Again, I don't want anybody to think that owning a bar and drinking is, the worst thing in the world, or that we, own bars and don't want people to drink. We just want
Right.
it to be responsible. But I think that it is on our end. We have a responsibility to let young people know, or anybody really know, that is interested in getting into the bar industry. It's a great industry to be in. You can have a lot of fun, make a lot of connections, and really be a part of the city. I feel like, first time somebody told me Mad Hatter was a staple in Fort Worth. That's a huge thing for somebody to say, especially here in Fort Worth. Like that just really hit home for me. But another thing that I think about too, as I continue to grow, is what the damage that I can do to what we've built by one bad decision. By one bad decision, I can crumble everything. And each and every one of us have that. So I do want to let people know that yes, there are very, very dark and bad parts of the bar, and it is super important, if you want to go into ownership, that you have a control of your life and and are in a responsible state. And ideally, maybe you're already past the drinking stage, because if you've never went through that stage, opening a bar, you're playing with fire.
Yeah,
is what
Probably
you're
going to
doing.
start.
Yes.
You're the old saying, you hang out in the barbershop long enough, you're bound to get a haircut. You hang out in your bar long enough, you're gonna cave to that shot.
Right.
And then 1 turns to 2 and 2 turns to 3. So just to sum it up really quick, I want you guys to just give maybe your best advice to a future person that wants to own a bar, to maybe avoid going through and falling down that black hole themselves, and being able to run a successful bar, putting good people around them, putting structure and systems around them, and adding to this great industry that we have. It is a great industry. It's whose hands it's in is how it's perceived and taken. So whichever one you want to start, I figure, what's your best advice to avoid that and try to stay on a successful path?
I think for me, the biggest thing is who we hire. I think hiring is a big role on it. I think in the beginning, when I first came into this industry, we would interview people, and if they were outgoing or whatever, we would hire them. Or I would say, let's hire them. You know what I mean? Because that's what I thought made a good bartender. What I quickly realized is maturity was almost number one, and making sure that they're out of that party phase. Because if your bartenders that are serving people every single day are still in that party phase, it can kind of hurt you. But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things for me.
Just if you want to open a bar and have a successful bar, I mean, if you want to do it solo and you're confident in yourself and you are just, you know, the ins and outs of everything, absolutely go for it. But I'm all about team. And if you have just one partner who y'all can really feed off of each other, and it just helps just in general because you just have somebody to rely on and call. I mean, whether that is personal stuff or work, a partnership is huge when it comes into the bar world, because that's where you're going to be successful, I believe. And then, yeah, I mean, placing people around you who all want growth.
Yep.
I mean, I guess like the teamwork makes the dream work in the end, you know?
Yep.
Just know that there's going to be good, there's going to be bad, there's going to be ugly. It's just, there's going to be things that surprise you, there's going to be things that don't surprise you. Just make sure, no matter what, that you figure out a way to better yourself on each one of those like areas, you know? Like if there's learn from your mistakes, grow from them pretty
Yeah.
much, and put the right people in the right spots and trust yourself. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If you don't trust yourself, it's oof, that's gonna be a
Amen.
long
That's a good,
road.
that's a good
Yeah.
one.
It's gonna be
If
a
you don't
long
trust
yeah,
yourself,
if you don't trust, it's gonna be a
hey, I
long
had to
road
learn that
because
one.
that trusting yourself is the biggest one for me because it's
Love
like
that.
I feel like that's when all the self doubt, that's when all the self pity, that's when the drinking, that's when all that comes together and it
Yeah.
takes over, you know.
Yeah.
Like, but in the end, it's a great thing to have, and as you know something under your belt. Like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I own my own bar, I own my own restaurant, or
Yeah.
it's something to have, good to have. Just make sure that you do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how you said put the right people around you. That is definitely a really important thing to do. Um, my personal advice, if anybody has never opened a bar or never been in the industry, I would not suggest it. I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't. And I think that I think to be arrogant enough to think that you could step into else's field without ever experience in it
Okay.
is a very arrogant thing. Like I would never go open a coffee shop. I have nothing no, other than drinking coffee. I don't know anything about it. Do I think that I can run successful businesses? Yes. Do I think something in a niche like that or like in a bar business is experience extremely important? Absolutely. So if
Yeah.
if not if you don't have that experience, you have to find somebody that does, and you have to put them around you. If not, learning on this fly or learning this business on the fly is really not an option with no background in it. So
Yeah.
and
There's too many aspects
I'll
of
go
it.
back to,
Right.
I always tell the story with the pedicab, when I owned a pedicab business, I called down to the pedicab company and said, "Hey, how do you structure this? Like, I just pure curiosity. I'm in no competition with you. How do you structure this?" And he goes, "Well, let me ask you a question before we get started." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Have you ever baked a cake?" "No." "Why the F would you open a bakery?"
I love that.
100%. And that was a home run. So I would say, if you've never made a Bloody Mary, if you've never made a martini, if you've never made a margarita professionally, don't open a bar.
I
It will
agree.
be without a very strong, seasoned person beside you.
Amen. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep, yep, yep.
Agreed.
I don't, again, I don't think that we want to scare anybody away from being a bar owner. It's an amazing business, but there are a lot of ups, downs, goods, bads, and ugly. And I think it's our responsibility to share those.
Yeah.
So people that do have the passion to do it are a setup for success, like you always say, we can set them up for success as much as possible. And, they may watch this video and go, "I want nothing to do with it." Good. That's what we want. Or we have the people that go, "You know what? I've already drank. I've been putting my time in. I've been putting effort into it. I've been learning this business in and out. I already know everything they said. I've lived it. And I'm confident that I think that I can do it."
Or maybe they need a little help, and that's what we're here for too with our
Absolutely.
consulting business. Like that's our goal, right?
Yep.
Help you. Call us.
We will guide you.
Yeah. So great episode, guys. I don't know how. I think we ended. Can we just end it there? I
Yeah.
think that we.
Yeah.